Today I wanted to talk to you about the new features that Apple brought into their iPhone operating system yesterday, April 8th, when Apple CEO Steve Jobs took the stage and announced them. Now, I'm going to break this into sections, going from what I believe is the most important feature to the least important feature. And I wanted to start by talking about the relationship that this is going to have with the iPad. It's called the iPhone operating system, but it now runs the iPhone, the iPod Touch, and the new iPad. And that's the reason why the feature that I decided to put as the most important deserves that rank, because it's going to have the most play in the iPad. I think that it's really important though, and I'm quite disappointed, to be honest, that Apple didn't rename their iPhone operating system, because it's now not just on the iPhone, it's now on 3 devices: the iPhone, the iPod Touch, and the iPad. The first feature I wanted to talk about was folders. This allows you to group games together on the home screen, rather like stacks in OS X. So if you drag 2 games on top of each other on the home screen, it'll allow you to create a folder called Games, for example, and it has auto naming, so it'll know that they're 2 games, and then it'll create a folder named Games, for example. So folders will allow you to have some more desktop organisation, which I think is really important for the iPad. The next most important feature to me, and was on everybody's mind, was multitasking. Now that the iPad has a 1 GHz processor and the iPhone 3GS is very powerful as well, it is more than capable of multitasking. Android's got multitasking, the Palm Pre's got multitasking, and it really was time that the iPhone OS had multitasking. But they've done something really cool. If you tap the home button 3 times when you're in an application, it'll actually bring up an application switcher to allow you to switch between your running applications. And they also have the support for background music, background VoIP. So if you've got an iPhone, you can actually make VoIP calls and phone calls right from within your device. They also did some other stuff with multitasking, but I'm not really going to dwell on that, since everybody really knew that was going to happen, and it's nothing really that big. The next most important thing that I think's really going to make a change is something called the Game Center. Now, this is kind of a subsection of the App Store, but I assume it's going to come as a separate app on all the new devices. It's basically like Xbox Live for all the apps in the App Store, but it's basically going to make the iPod into even more of a portable gaming system. You can have achievements, invite friends, a whole bunch of stuff that
it's 12:30.
We haven't really seen on any other mobile device. The next thing I wanted to talk about was something called the fact that they announced iBooks for the iPhone and iPod Touch. This really annoyed me, because I know the iPod, the iPhone, the iPad has a larger screen than the iPod and the iPhone, but with them announcing the iBooks in the 4.0 software to be all on all the right devices, I think it really took away the exclusivity of the iPad. But they announced iBooks on the iPhone, and we assume you can do pretty much the same things as you can on the current iPad. they also announced iAds, which allows developers to create in-app advertising and have advertising banners where you can almost have another game inside of an advert. So it should be very cool from an end user perspective to experience some hopefully more immersive advertising. It's a 70-40 split with the Apple and the developer. They also have access to some new APIs, the calendar API, so you have to do things with your calendar. Developers have more access to location APIs and a whole bunch of stuff like that. So, how is this going to impact the device? Well, I think the biggest detriment it's going to have is to the iPad. People were really hoping for some more customization for the iPad, and at least I was hoping for it to something that would allow it to separate itself a little bit better from the iPhone and the Apple Touch. You can customize the picture on the background screen at the moment, but that's really all. And with all the screen real estate, people were expecting some kind of widget to read the lock screen, but we didn't see any of that. And I think it's really going to be detrimental to the iPad sales, because now people they know what they're getting into, but they don't they can't kind of see any further onto the horizon, because this means we've gone 4 years, 4 iterations of the iPhone operating system without a major redesign to the software. So I almost can't understand why they did a lot of the things they did, and I think it's really going to be detrimental to the iPad, because it doesn't use a lot of that screen real estate that they could be using. Yeah, I mean, there's some more universal access features and some things, but other than the game center and the way they implemented multitasking background applications, there's nothing really major that's new that's included in the device. At least I don't think so. Everything they included, other with the possible exception of iAds, was what people expected. I think the lack of them really innovating the user interface is going to be really detrimental to the iPad in particular. They also announced that the update is coming to the iPhone 3G and iPod Touch 2nd generation in a limited capacity, 3GS mostly, and 3rd generation iPod. So the 3GS and the 2nd generation can have the least amount of functionality, and the 1st generation of either device is going to be left out of the pack. They didn't announce pricing, or they said that it's coming to the iPhone and iPod lines in the summer and coming to the iPad in the fall. I can understand why they didn't kind of give it to the iPad earlier, seeing as the iPad has gotten a lot of attention recently, but I really think the iPad could have benefited from it, and I think getting rid of its one exclusive feature, iBooks, is really going to be a detriment to the device. I know people say, well, you wouldn't want to read on an iPhone anyway, but now you've got the option, which I don't think is very good, seeing as a lot of people are going to say, well, might as well just pick up an iPhone and then at least I can have my games console, my productivity tool, and everything like that all in one. So with respect to not changing much for the iPad, I really don't think they've done themselves any favours. Multitasking, we haven't heard anything about whether it's battery drain or not, but I assume it will. I don't assume, I know it will be, but at least now you have the choice whether you want to run multiple applications. They also announced something called local notifications, where your notifications don't have to be pinged up to Apple servers and then back down to you, so notifications from applications should come a little more quickly, and the notification system should be a little more robust. I'm kind of keen to wait to see what happens with this. Again, I think it will have a detrimental effect on the iPad, seeing as now consumers won't be able to see in the future, other than the game center. There's not that much multitasking, which there's not that much to look forward to in the new iPhone interface. So, my order of things, folders, I think is going to be the best thing, because it's really going to allow for more organisation, more same about the iPad. So folders comes first for me. Game center, multitasking, iAds, which I think was a very generous 60% to the developers and 40% to Apple, from this new interactive ads network. I then think everything else is kind of a wash, because people expected it. You can pair the iPhone with Bluetooth keyboards now, but who's really going to want to pair on the iPhone, type on the iPhone? Again, it takes away some of the exclusivity that the iPad had, which I think is a really, really bad thing. What do you think? Am I way off base? What did you think of this recent Apple event? I want to hear your thoughts. Thank you for watching this video. Subscribe if you like it, and you can also follow me on Twitter by going to twitter.com/TomRogers12 and hitting the follow button over there. You can read some articles that I've written over at technobuffalo.com/futuretech. Thank you for watching this video, and subscribe if you liked it. Thanks again.